everybody. Welcome back once again to the RetroGameFix.com Retro Jones podcast number 94. This is Mitch.
And this is Mike.
I'm like, brain fart. What's going on, Mike?
Man. It's a...
I'm not going to re-record that just because.
No, don't re-record it. It's it's funny. It's been one of the longest, most stressful weeks that I've had, but it's fun when we I got to vent a little bit before we hit record, and man, every time we sit down to do one of these, it's kind of relief. It's a great hour, 2 hours to knock this stuff out, and I know we hope
you feel the same.
We do. Man, it's a fun time. It's a fun time. But what do you think? Should I throw that contact information out there?
I think you should.
Twitter.com. You've heard of it. Facebook.com. YouTube.com/RetroGameFix. Otherwise, questions at RetroGameFix.com or 678-995-5103.
Or just go to RetroGameFix.com and click on any of the social media outlets there. I'm sure all the contact information.
Do that. Also, I want to hashtag Vagina contacted us on social media. He was in he was in the Minneapolis metro area and was like, "Hey, do you want to go grab a beer this weekend?" And unfortunately, having the newborn, and needing to run her around in special outfits and things like that, I was like, I'm sorry, hashtag Vagina. This was the weekend that I probably couldn't do it. But next time you are in the area, hashtag Vagina, let us know, and we will go have some drinks.
Right on. Cool. Well, next time you're in Atlanta, get in touch as well, which maybe never, but I'm here. So anyway, I like beer. We kind of had a little bit. I mean, you said you had an ultra stressful week, and I'm sure, but you also had an eventful week in, I guess, a different way, right? In a couple different ways. Like you haven't really told me exactly all the details or anything like that. But what's going on, Mike? What has been going on in your world?
Right. So I had mentioned last week that I'd canceled my PlayStation 4 Pro pre-order. Mm-hmm. Or if I didn't mention it on the podcast, I mentioned it on our Twitter, but I canceled that. But I also needed another PlayStation, or wanted another PlayStation. Unlike IGN, in which they feel like they're being extorted by Destiny with optional purchases, I was not extorted to buy another PlayStation, but I wanted one. And so
by the way, should we start like some kind of like fundraiser for him or something like that? Like, I know, Haiti was devastated by that hurricane and all that stuff, and I know there's been all these like natural disasters recently where people need relief and stuff like that. Should we start a fund for IGN
we might need to, because
I seriously, it's the most pressing thing. I'm really sad for them.
Yeah, I mean, one of their employees feels extorted because they want all of the Destiny.
I can't not laugh.
They want all of the. Actually, you know what? Because
he's gonna go there.
This is why we have.
You knew it. We've been hashing this out before the podcast, and I'm not gonna go there.
This is why we have the podcast. I need to get this one off my fucking chest. I gotta get this one off my fucking chest.
Holy cow! All right.
So Sean Finnegan of IGN on Fireteam Chat claimed that Bungie, the developer behind Destiny, has coerced them and extorted them into purchasing microtransactions. And this jackass had Here's the thing. I appreciate people from media outlets that listen to this show. But I'm not going to hold my fucking opinion back when you say stupid ass shit like this.
By the way, rated MA for mature. Explicit lyrics.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I just texted him tweeted at him. And this wasn't even me trolling. This was me being so bothered by the fact that he had the balls to say, extorted. And so I sent this to him. I said, I can't believe you are willingly playing Destiny after being exploited. Do you believe half of the shit you say? I asked him that, Mitch.
Yeah.
Do you know what he said?
And what did he say?
Do you know what he said?
I don't. Well, actually, I do know what he said. But
he said, of course I'm still playing Destiny. I love the game. I just steer clear of Eververse and support what I think works for it. And without me even responding, I didn't respond to that because Eververse is where you buy microtransactions. Without me responding to that, he says, they're not optional if you want the gear.
Oh, yeah.
I want a fucking Ferrari.
That's not optional, Mike. You have to have one now.
I have to have the Ferrari.
I want a beachside house.
Is Ferrari?
I want to be on like the Gulf, like right on the coast, like one of those that's like right in between the sand dunes and shit. I want a house like right there.
Are property owners exploiting you now because you want it?
I feel like they are.
Yeah. God, I wish Ferrari would stop exploiting me.
God, man. It's tough to be us.
It is tough to be us. Every time I want something, there's someone just right around the corner ready to exploit me.
I want a Medieval Madness, too. Damn it. God. I want like an original. I don't want one of the repro ones. So fuck, that's going to set me back $10,000.
Stop.
God, I'm sick of being exploited by my wants and by things that I want.
God.
It really sucks, man. Don't laugh. It really sucks.
Jesus, what a jackass. Anyway, all right, got that off my chest. So anyway, I wanted something today.
What's the contact information for... No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
So anyway, I wanted something today. And I went and bought it.
You got exploited.
The motherfuckers at Sony. So anyway, I wanted something today, and I wanted it for a variety of reasons. I mentioned this last podcast, that I canceled my PS4 Pro order. But I still wanted a second PlayStation. And so...
No. Want means need. You might as well say the same thing.
Well, personally, I did need one, but I wasn't exploited. So anyway, I needed a second PlayStation. And there was a deal where PlayStation 3's, or PlayStation 4's bundles were 15% off with Target Cartwheel. Plus, if you had Target Red Card, it's another 5% off. Plus, if it was the first time that you installed the Wishlist app, it was another 10% off.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is all compounded by the fact that I bought PlayStation Vue, $35 a month, and I can now watch sports. And so having the theater screen in the basement, which a lot of people have probably seen, I like to watch sports down there when I can. And I got rid of my second PlayStation prior, so I thought, hey, I can get this thing for like $220. So I went and got another PlayStation Slim for $220, and hooked it up. It's awesome.
Damn, dude. So how many PlayStations do you have now?
Well, now I have two.
Okay, yeah, that's right. You sold the other one because you're getting the Pro.
Right, but so I thought about like, I was sitting there going like, should I wait on the Pro? And having the Xbox One S, which upscales to 4K because I have a 4K TV, I did a couple little studies because I have Destiny on Xbox One. And by turning it on, I felt a little exploited, but it did not require me to spend money, so I turned it on again. And then I turned Destiny on my PlayStation 4, my normal PlayStation 4, which also did not exploit me for money, but I turned them both on the same input.
Mm.
The Xbox One S does upscaling, the PlayStation 4 doesn't. So to clarify, the Xbox One S doing upscaling, the TV thinks it's native 4K because the Xbox One S is upscaling it. And then the PlayStation 4, the TV sees it and then upscales it itself I couldn't tell a difference. And so the big draw with the PlayStation 4 Pro is that, yeah, it does a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I just couldn't justify spending an extra $200 on the PlayStation 4 Pro when my TV upscales to 4K. And I've said this before. And if you just have consoles, I understand this. But like, if I really care about graphics, I play on my PC. So,
yep.
So I grabbed a second one so I could put it in the basement to, so I could essentially watch PlayStation View and watch basketball downstairs on my theater screen.
It's right on. I would be jealous, but considering the circumstances and what they look like.
Well, hey, Mitch.
I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Please, if you ever want a projector, don't, because that company will extort you. So anyway, you wanted a pinbot.
I did, and I was extorted by Williams 30 years ago. Williams of 30 years ago, like exactly 30 years ago. And so I wanted one. So I went out and got one. And I talked about that on the last podcast, that was kind of my thing. And I'm telling you, man, I haven't been this stupidly excited for anything. And God, I don't even remember how long. I was like just pumped all week. I'm like, God, I don't want to wish my life away, but I was like, hurry up, it's only Monday, or hurry up, it's only Tuesday. God, it's like Tuesday at noon. Like, why is this week going so slow, Like that kind of a week.
Yeah, you're just like, I want to pick it up.
I do. So I'm like, I was super stoked. And yesterday, I guess yesterday was Saturday, today's Sunday. So yesterday I finally went up. It was about a 2.5 hour drive to Greenville, South Carolina. And so, I like text the guy. I'm like, yeah, we'll be there by noon. We get in town at like 10:30. Like, of course. I'm like, I get the guy out of bed. I'm like, hey, dude, we're here. So, whatever. Who cares? So I'm about to hand him a stack of cash. So who gives a crap? But anyway, so I got it, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. So, long story short on that, now I have a pinbot, and I had to rearrange my basement 3 times yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before, so I could figure out a configuration that I liked, because I switch walls with a pinball, so I can, I technically could have like 8 pinballs in a row on that wall, but I don't like it for some reason. So I switched everything back, and then I switched everything back again. I finally kind of figured it out. I don't know. I'll put a picture up on Twitter, or I'll send it to you and have you put it up on Twitter or whatever. But it's a little bit of a project. I got it for less because it's a project. And as far as shopping it out and cleaning it up, I'd rather not. I'd rather just do it myself, because then I know what I did, and I really enjoy it. I mean, it's not like it's a chore to me. I mean, every minute that I could spare, probably I've gotten like, I stayed up until 3 last night, like, working on it. And what I'm doing is, to me, it's kind of like a preliminary shop out, where I'm just kind of taking section by section apart, waxing the crap out of it, cleaning everything up, like all the star posts and all that stuff, making it look as good as possible. And it's cleaning up really nicely. It's got a couple surprises that I'm not super stoked about, but nothing that I can't handle. But lo and behold, I have a pinbot, and it's up on Twitter. So the picture is, at least. So
yeah, pinbot's one of those things. I think for us, when we talk about like holy grails of this and collection that, like, I mean, man, I want a pinbot now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, besides you and me, pinbot's probably not a grail for like very many people, like, I love the game. Is so awesome. It's just awesome. So, but yeah, for you and me, I mean, it's like a grail. And I did decide with this one too. I can't really fit any more pinballs in my basement. I mean, I could, but I'm happy with what I got right now. It was kind of the thing where I was like, all along, all I really wanted was a pinbot. I still got a stack of cash, and when the right opportunity comes along to buy something else that I want, I'll do it. But as it stands right now, I've got, 5.5 pins in my basement besides the arcade machines, and I've got one in the garage as well. So I'm like, that's enough for now. But I'm going to take some of that money, and I found a play field for Pinbot. I found, they repro the plastics and stuff like that. I'm going to do it up, and this thing is This thing is going to be mint because it's one of those that I'm probably going to end up spending at least what I bought it for. I'm going to end up putting that amount into it again. And, I don't really care what it's worth at the end, but I just want a mint condition pinbot, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's like, for me, so it's funny because we've been talking about the pinballs for a lot of weeks here, and like, it's funny because I keep thinking there's a lot of pinballs where like you're talking about the Ghostbusters and the you just mentioned
Medieval Madness.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about that. But when it comes to like a pinbot, I'm like, now I've got that itch where I'm like, I need, like, if I see a pinbot come up, I'm buying it, Mitch. I'm buying it.
I highly recommend it. I don't think you'll ever regret it. That's the thing is, I don't regret buying this either. I feel like I got a steal on it. I mean, I could have probably talked the guy lower, but I'm not that kind of person. I don't care. If I've got a price that I'm like, I like that price, I'll buy it, Well,
it kind of goes back to that thing where collecting wise, right? So I'm sitting on a pile of Atari games, right? I don't care about Atari, but sometimes we discuss how
you don't have any connection with Atari.
Right, but I have a connection to Pinbot. You have a connection to Pinbot, and I'm like, I want Pinbot. And like we mentioned last podcast, I've tried to kick myself in my own nuts multiple times this week for not getting it for $900. And actually, Mitch, it was actually must have been in February of last year because I just got my tax return when we were talking about it. I believe
was it I thought it was years ago.
Maybe it was 2 years ago, but anyway. I almost went and got surgery in my knee so I could actually kick myself in my own nuts. But then I thought with that money, I could probably just go buy a pinbot instead of kicking myself in my own nuts. So I didn't do that. But I want one, man. I want a pinbot. It's like my next buy.
With all the stuff that I've owned, and again, I have 19 machines. I have 18 again now because somebody bought my Outrun, which is great. I mean, I don't need the money. I just need the space. I needed the space for the pinbot. So somebody finally came by and grabbed that. But, I have 18 games and I've had 19 for God knows how long. And no matter what, I always end up at that number. But like, this is my grail. I'm right now I feel like satisfied for the first time. I'm not looking anymore. I'm like, I feel like I got what I got, but that doesn't mean anything because, we were talking about like, we were just talking about stuff and like, we hadn't really had the conversation yet, but I think that's a conversation we should have here is like, why are we obsessed with like buying shit? Like you just bought a new PlayStation. I bought a pinbot.
Why do we buy stuff?
Why do we buy stuff? And that's one of those things that while we were kind of like, talking about the pinbot and all that stuff and this, I'm like, that is my grail and I'm satisfied. But guess what? I found a Bride of Pinbot.
You're like, I need a Bride of Pinbot.
Listed locally. I'm like, if I had a Bride of Pinbot, a Pinbot, and then an Earthshaker Whirlwind, I've got like 2 pairs of machines. And then I've got the Roller Coaster Tycoon, like Flash Gordon and all that stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong with us, Mike?
Well, I don't know. And it's funny because I actually thought about this today. Well, actually yesterday. Excuse me. When you were going to pick up the pinbot. And then I looked around my house.
Yeah.
I don't have 19 arcade machines or pinballs.
Nor do you need 19 arcade machines or pinballs.
No, I don't. But I have a ridiculous PC rig. I have a Sega Master System, a Sega CD, a Sega Genesis, a Sega 32S, 2 NESs, a Super Nintendo, 2 PlayStation 1s, 2 PlayStation 2s, 2 PlayStation 3s, 1 Xbox, 2 PlayStation 4s, 3 Xbox Ones, 1 GameCube, 1 Wii U, and 1 Saturn. Did I miss anything? An N64?
Well, you got all the handhelds too.
And I have the Vita. I've got a couple 3DSs, Game Gear.
Boy,
like it just goes
Gear.
on. Right. And so like that's what I buy. I don't know why, but anytime I see shit that is like a decent deal, I'm like, I feel exploited to purchase it, and so I do. I feel exploited to purchase it if somebody's going to give me a deal on it. How can I say? Too. How can I say no?
God. Well, I know. I'm with you, man. That's the thing. That's why we have a podcast.
There is a conspiracy theory that has targeted the Retro Jonez podcast.
Yep.
Motherfuckers.
We have like a sickness, or I felt like originally we had a sickness, but now I feel like we've just been exploited so much. And that's probably what caused us to have a podcast in the first place.
All the exploitation. I really feel like I should file. I mean, actually, I'm not even going to make that joke. Never mind.
Scratch that one, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to make yeah, never mind.
But it's one of those things.
That's what makes that claim so ridiculous. Is like you're talking about video games. Anyway, let's go.
So anyway, I mean, it's one of those things with me. I'm like, this is almost like it could be a running joke at this point because I'm always like, collector buddies or something are like, hey, I'm getting such and such or whatever. You looking for anything? I'm like, no, I'm not looking for anything. I think I'm good for a while. I'm never good.
No,
never. Like never. That's why I said I'm like, literally, it was like the remember on like Dave Chappelle when Rick James was like, what did he say when they did like an instant replay or whatever? Where he's like I don't know what he's talking about me messing up his couch or whatever, and then he's like 2 seconds later, he's like, yeah, I recall that or whatever, like me saying
I'm just like every one of my favorite moments of the Chappelle Show. I don't know if I would recite outside of a conversation via burner phones between myself and you. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, exactly. But yeah, I feel like I had one of those moments like on this podcast where you could do like an instant replay. Like, I'm satisfied. I got what I want. That's what I wanted, which is true with the Pinbot. Then I'm like, damn it, somebody's got to bride a Pinbot now. I need that, Yeah. So anyway, I don't know, man. It's like a sickness. It's like, but I guess I feel like at least, I say this, but this kind of segues into another bit a little bit. It wasn't really intentional, but it kind of flowed that way anyways. It's like, I feel like we could consider ourselves at least legit for having a retro gaming podcast because we live retro gaming for the most part and modern gaming as well. We live video gaming in general, right?
Yeah. And I see where you're going. And I think the key here is, yes, this is the Retro Jonez podcast and it's RetroGameFix.com. And we've talked about it before, but I think it's more of a representation of who we are as people, not completely tied to what the podcast is as far as content, right? It depends on the show, right? Sometimes we talk retro, sometimes we don't. It just kind of depends what's going on.
We talk gaming. Yeah, we're a gaming podcast.
We love games. And because
we're gamers.
Because of that want to game, we feel exploited to have this show. And so being exploited by the man that is having us, that's making the games, we need to make sure that we have this show in order to talk games, so we don't let the man down
or something.
Yeah,
but that kind of brings another conversation up, though. Like we'd kind of, why don't you go ahead and segue us into this, because that kind of actually fits perfectly. We kind of started to have this conversation earlier this week, and I kind of decided, let's hold off.
Yeah, so just so I'm clear, because we have a lot of conversations every week. Are we talking about the Nintendo conversation?
I was talking about the hardcore gamers.
Oh, sure. Okay, so Mitch and I were having a conversation earlier this week about quote unquote hardcore gamers, and I hesitate to use the word hardcore gamer to define gamers, because I feel like it's a bit fanboyish, and I don't want to go there. But there's a conversation to be had, and and I do want to reference this. Out of the conversation with the Nintendo Switch, there's been this back and forth among gamers as far as are you a hardcore gamer, quote unquote, on a lot of the sites, or a casual gamer as far as Nintendo goes? And for us, we kind of came to this conclusion that, like, at what point did loving Nintendo games become casual gaming? Right? Like, that was where it all began.
Well, in this whole conversation, when we kind of started to, talk about it or whatever, I didn't even realize that, I guess I never really realized that there was a separation between, I guess it feels like different kinds of gamers there. Like, we had the what is retro conversation years ago for like a series, and it might, you never know, it might turn into something like that. But we kind of had like a what is retro, like, well, let's define retro, because anybody could call anything. So one person I remember had said, retro is anything that's not produced anymore. Well, technically that could be a PlayStation 3 is retro at this point. Do you really think PlayStation 3 and the original NES are in the same category?
Right.
So, we had kind of had that conversation. I feel like this is kind of one of those conversations too that I never considered. There are gamers, and then there are gamers. Like, what kind of gamers are gamers? Because I think it kind of seemed like
the generation around gamers, right? Because that was also kind of what we hit on. There was like, how do we not
all gamers are created equally, apparently. Which I never considered.
Well, no, but I also don't want to say one is better. This is how this conversation.
No.
Like, this is weird, because it's like this conversation is like, one isn't necessarily better than the other, but the generation of gamer. There's always these generations, right? And we're into this point where it's like retro generation and modern generation, and I think when we talk about that, it's 2D platformers, 8-bit, 16-bit, and modern generation, first-person shooters, sports games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that I'm...
Give or take, I guess.
Give or take, and there's some gray area there. I'm not sure I'm... And we could be completely off base, and maybe this is just a dynamic you and I have as gamers, but I think it's a fair conversation, because I think we spread the generations pretty equally here as far as where we do our gaming. I just feel like it's just I feel like we kind of, if you want, I don't even know, the term sounds lame, so I definitely don't mean it to be lame, but we kind of specialize in different areas. Like, I really gravitate towards classic machines and stuff, classic machines. I love classic consoles and stuff like that. I do like modern stuff too. I don't crap on modern gaming. I mean, I really enjoy playing modern games as well. Like, I don't feel like, you're the same. I mean, geez, you have 1 billion retro consoles, and you game on modern game all the time. I mean, you constantly modern game. It's like, you don't think one is less than the other. It's all part of the same thing, Yeah, and that's always this weird conversation, right? Because I don't, like, when I look at modern games, and this is what bothers me about the Nintendo Switch reveal, right? Everyone's like, let me give you an example. The PlayStation 4 gets announced, and I'm going to reference a podcast, and this actually isn't me shitting on them, because I can see where they're coming from. But Colin Moriarty from Kind of Funny says, when the PlayStation 4 Pro got announced, he's like, I don't know what your fucking target is. And I'm paraphrasing, but he was swearing because he was heated, much like I get. And he was saying, more power doesn't make better games. But then a couple months later, the Nintendo Switch gets announced, and he's questioning, is this going to have enough power to compete?
Yeah, and so it's the Rick James thing again.
It's a Rick James thing again, and this is what I tweeted out. Like, my Nintendo games aren't going to look better on a PS4. They're just not, right? And so for me, I'm one of those gamers that I really, really don't care about the plastic box that I play them on anymore.
Game quality, it's got to be.
My favorite games in the last 3 or 4 years are not games that require a lot of power. And that's where we have this thing where, like you alluded to, what is retro? We kind of have this conversation that, like, I don't want to say what is a gamer, because gamers can game. That's fine, but it's more like, at what point do you get to call somebody's bullshit?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or am I off base there, Mitch? I mean, am I off base? Because, like,
let's kind of define further what specifically we're talking about here too.
Yeah, because I want to say, like, I will more than happily admit that sometimes I am looking for an argument in conversation, because I feel like, conflict is fun, because I'm kind of a troll every now and then.
Yeah, you're upfront about being a troll-fessional.
And actually, to clarify, I do want to clarify that. I'm honestly, a lot of the times that I think it comes along as trolling, most of the time, the thing that I'm trolling about, I actually feel passionately about my opinion, so it's not really trolling.
Well, yeah, you're not really looking for an argument in that case. You actually are passionate about your opinion.
Right, but I think this is one of those times where it's just like, what are we all arguing about as gamers, and is there a difference among generations, etc.? So sorry to jump in, but
that's okay. No, that's fine. That's kind of where it's going. But with the Nintendo Switch and all that stuff, I mean, we don't need to get really super deep into it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, like, is a more powerful? I mean, you had posed this question at the beginning before we even had started here, like, would a Nintendo Switch game be a better game if it were on, like, Xbox or something like that? Would it look better? Like, no, it's a cartoony game. It's a Nintendo game. Like, it's like HD cartoon. It's not like you can. It's not like you have. It's not like you're innovating in that way. You're innovating in different ways on your franchises that are popular. Leave that to PlayStation and an Xbox as far as, like, being on the cutting edge of console graphics and what experiences that way and stuff like that. It's like Nintendo's like, it's like cartoony, and I love that about it. And trust me, if they had a live action Mario, or some kind of, like, a third person Mario that was like, like some huge, awesome, super powerful graphics or something like that, like 4K graphics of, like, Mario is like a real person or something like that, I don't think I'd probably play that. Would you?
No, I don't think so. And I think this is where, and we've talked about this before, that at the end of the day, the gameplay is what matters. And this is really kind of what goes back to me buying this other PlayStation this week for $200, because I was like,
pause it. I was gonna say, let me clarify on the last comment too. Like, that's not gonna make the game any better. Like, making it like that type of a game. So, anyways, go the PlayStation. Sorry.
Yeah. So I was saying, like, oh, can the PlayStation 4 do HDR and maybe upscale it a little nicer and da-da-da-da-da? Yeah, it could. And I've said this before, when I console game, I'm not concerned about that. When I'm concerned, I go to PC, and I've said that before. And that's not PC master race. That's just me saying, when I care, that's where I go. But at the end of the day, I play games because I want to have fun. And or not even, actually, you know what? Let me take that back. I don't always want to have fun. I want to be told a story, or there's a variety of reasons that I play games. And sometimes visual fidelity does play into that.
It always did when we were growing up. Like, we were always like, I was fascinated in, like,
the graphics.
Yeah. I was fascinated in the graphics and, like, the experience. But then again, like, a good game is a good game, and a good game melds all those things together. It's the, like, the gameplay, the sound, the visuals, just the soundtrack, all those particular things. But, I was really specifically interested in graphics back then.
But that was back then. I mean, that was 20 plus years ago, right?
It's not the same. My games didn't live and die by graphics. I was always fascinated. I always appreciated them. I always looked at it as some kind of like artistic, work of art. As a gamer, I mean, we're like gamers through and through our entire lives. I mean, we grew up gaming and we still game. I mean, it's like we never stopped gaming. That's like our masterpieces, that's like our Picasso or whatever, it's like, I don't mean to be overly dramatic about it, but it's kind of true. I always look at video games as artwork, and especially the arcade machines and pinballs that I restore and stuff like that. It's like functional artwork,
Yeah, and I don't, and just to jump in, I don't think the developers of these games that put thousands of hours of their lives into these games would argue with you, right? I mean, there is a lot of work that go into these things, and this is kind of the difference.
That's a legitimate argument for another day, for sure.
It certainly is, but I just feel like with Nintendo, specifically Nintendo, I posted this. We've got the PlayStation 4. We've got the Xbox. We've got the Xbox One S. We're getting the PlayStation 4 Pro. We're getting the Xbox Scorpio. We've got the PlayStation VR coming. We've got Oculus Rift. We've got PC. We've got Valve Vive. Like, in what world do people think it makes sense for Nintendo to release a console that's trying to grab a piece of that market space? Like, that just seems dumb to me. Like, that'd be like me going like, you know what, I'm going to open up a McDonald's, but what was it called in Coming to America? Not McDonald's, it was called like
McRoyals or something.
McRoyals, yeah, I'm going to open McRoyals. Like, no, you don't do that. And that space is filled. And
I think a better way of describing it, have you ever seen, like, I don't know how many seasons, a couple seasons ago, South Park had like an episode where, like, all of a sudden they cut to reality and there was like a real Cartman and there was like a real Stan and Kyle and Kenny and stuff like that. And it was like, it was just weird, like, I feel like if you go from like one visual to another or something, if you switch like that, I mean, and maybe there's probably a counter argument out there, but all I'm saying in that particular case, it was just like, obviously I'm not going to watch, South Park is full of themselves at this point, but I won't even get into that, but that's beside the point. The point is that it was weird transferring from cartoon to reality or whatever.
South Park, I want to say something.
No, that's a conversation.
It is, but South Park also followed the same problem that The Simpsons did, and they started to take themselves too serious. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. They're full of themselves. But anyways, that's the point is that's what I think of with Nintendo. It's like, I don't expect you to reinvent the wheel, Nintendo. I expect you to keep coming out with awesome games, and it might just be weird. It might seem like, I don't know, it's jarring in that same sense, So do you think, I've had actually a few offline conversations via a couple message boards with people that were like, I just want Nintendo to go back to being cutting edge. And I was like, when has Nintendo ever been cutting edge? Really? No, I mean,
creatively, they've always been cutting edge.
I mean, the Nintendo, I mean, the NES, I mean, cutting edge marketing wise, maybe. I mean,
but technology wise, they've never been the most powerful console, other than maybe the Super Nintendo, even depending, because you could argue that the Genesis was better in a lot of aspects, but Nintendo has always come with the gimmick. It always has come with a gimmick.
Well, and if you want to talk cutting edge, like, look at the 64, like, we've talked about this at length as well. Everybody else was going to CD. Nintendo wanted to control the market on their cartridge production. So probably, I'm speculating here, but they stayed with cartridge. That's not cutting edge. That's like the opposite of cutting edge. They pulled back at that point and they said, well, we're not going to go with the CD system yet. We're going to go with we're going to go back. We're going to stick with cartridges, money.
So do you?
And eventually they did go to CD with the GameCube, but it was like a mini. That's not innovative. I'm sorry, like a mini CD or whatever that was. That's like, it's cool, but it's not innovative. But the Wii, I'm sure you could argue that that was innovative with the move control. I mean, with the controllers and stuff like that.
In the way that Nintendo introducing the analog stick was innovative. Right. No,
that was that. I mean, okay, touche on the 64 conversation. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, that wasn't but that was just like Nintendo innovated once again, and it worked out for them, much like the N64 conversation, because the PlayStation didn't have an analog sticks at the time. No. But once they figured out how it worked, they adopted it. But that doesn't mean it worked out for the N64.
But cutting edge.
But not hardware wise, right? So here, no, and I'm not. My intent wasn't to putting.
Oh no! I think I'm applying it more to what I was saying, because I don't want to look like a hypocrite here. But I'm acknowledging.
I don't think you did. I think So my question is, why is it that? I mean, is it like, through rose-colored glasses that we look at the past and go, Nintendo was just this great innovator with this crazy hardware. Like, why does everybody continue to expect cutting-edge technology out of Nintendo when that's never what they've done, ever?
I will say this. I don't say cutting edge as far... Look, it is cutting edge. Technology-wise, like the DX is cutting edge as far as like what it can do. I mean, it's a gimmick and stuff like that, but what else can do that? I think it's awesome. I want to buy one because of that. And
I agree. I agree 100%. I just think it's that there's this weird historical reference of.
But the rose-colored glasses thing. People do that all the time. People, people do that all the time with everything. Power-wise, no, I don't feel like. I feel like, when. Okay, like, when did you stop enjoying? I would first ask this person, when did you stop enjoying Nintendo consoles? And if they say like Super Nintendo, I'll be like, okay, you got a legit. Maybe you're onto something there. But anything post Super Nintendo, I would probably have a pretty good argument against that.
Well, my thing. More specifically,
GameCube was nowhere near as powerful as everything else at the time.
No, but it also got Resident Evil 4, one of the best Resident Evils ever, and it didn't need to be.
Absolutely, I agree.
But I would say this. My biggest question I'm getting a little bit ahead here, but anybody that's ripping on the Nintendo Switch or Nintendo in general, or trying to justify the fact that we need a seventh hardware iteration of things that we already have, things you can already purchase, is the fact that, do you like Nintendo games or not? Right? That's the first question. Because if you don't like Nintendo games, then a Nintendo product is not going to be for you. Right?
Yeah.
Then the second, do you like Nintendo games? If your answer is yes, then you say, do you own a PlayStation 4 or not? Or an Xbox or not? If the answer is yes, it's this branching tree of, okay, well, those came out 3 years ago. Do you have another $300 or not? Is it worth it to you? Right? For me, it is. For me, like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 to play Nintendo games, right? But if, like, I spent $300 on my Wii U, and we saw how that worked out. I bought a lot of games that I probably shouldn't have. But there are just as many games on the Wii U that I'm a fan of as a Nintendo fan, as the other two systems combined. And for me, it doesn't matter what the box is. If that's my Nintendo platform, I'm going to buy it for $300. Like, I'm not trying to discount.
Why do they got to be separate from one? And I mean, why do they have to, like, Why do they have to compete? Like, why can't you just say, like, take it for face value? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I would tell these people, I mean, I'm not trying to be like
how many cars do you own, Mitch?
I mean, I own one for myself.
Well, and your wife has one. I mean,
and she has one as well. Yeah, technically I own the both.
And I know this is apples to oranges. I get it. But what I'm trying to say in comparison is there's always fucking compromises. If you can only buy one system, you need to decide what system works for you. But at this point in the generation, you've chosen a side. You're like, either I got the PS4 or I got the Xbox, or I bought both of them.
Right.
So if you bought both of them, you obviously have
bother.
Or you have disposable income, or like you didn't bother because you're like, I don't want to play shit on these.
There's nothing I want to play on either of them. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're like, hey, or let's just actually, this is a really great use case. You want to play a bunch of games on the Wii U.
I do.
But
that's the one. Mm-hmm.
But you also know that there is this time in between console changes where you have enough shit to take, to play. You have enough things to play between your arcades, your pinballs, your handhelds, your 3DS. I mean, it's not like you're not modern gaming. You're just not doing it on console, right? Mm. And you go, there's going to be a window where these Wii U's cost $100, and you can swoop up a pile of games for nothing.
That's exactly what's going to happen,
and that's what you're going to do.
I'm entertained. I'm not lacking in the entertainment area, and as far as all that stuff goes, like it's not like I'm like, oh my god, I'm so bored with my life or anything like that. I've got enough. Gaming. I'm speaking gaming wise or whatever. Like that portion of my life is full right now. It's full enough. I'm satisfied.
So why is this such a conversation? Why is this hardware power thing such a conversation? Like, why do? That's where I don't get it, because I don't understand why. Well, if I was playing it on higher hardware, it would feel more premium, right? I don't care if I'm playing Mario on my, GTX 1080. That doesn't feel Nintendo to me, to be honest, because I don't have revisionist history of what Nintendo was.
No, because that's exactly what it is. And here's my opinion on that particular comment as well. Like I just wish Nintendo would get back to innovating and stuff. Like, you're speaking out of all sides. You don't know what you're talking about, first of all. Like, first of all, you'll say, oh, well, I'm talking about graphics. Oh, well, I'm thinking about power now, or I'm thinking about this, or I'm thinking about that. Look, Nintendo's been inventive. I mean, they've been innovative in all different areas at different times. Like, it's not like they've just been like, it's not like you can group. There are a lot of different areas where they've been innovative in that are different areas. It's not like you can lump them all into one big thing and like that would make sense. Like, I understand what you're saying now about power, but like, again, tell me when you stopped enjoying Nintendo systems, because like, unless it was like back to the Super, again, that was my point that I made on that. Unless it was back to the Super Nintendo, you're full of shit and you don't even know it,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've said it before, and I've tweeted ad nauseum about this, but like, we need to stop criticizing things for what they're not in gaming and just taking them for what they are. And if you don't like what it is, fine. But saying that the Wii U sucks because it's not a PlayStation 4, or the Switch sucks because it's not a this, like, that's not a valid argument. Now, saying I don't like it because it doesn't have game, like, that's games I want. I feel like that's valid. But I'm just I'm just sick of this.
Well, it's like a division. It's like younger gamers probably, like, I'm totally not judging anyone here because I enjoy all gaming, and I know a lot of people do. But there are certain people who are maybe younger gamers that, like we said, like are Call of Duty or a Madden or something like that, which is fine. I don't. That's fine. You're gonna need an Xbox or a PlayStation for that, for sure. Well,
and there's even, I mean, look, there are people that listen to this show multiple people that listen to this show that I know that sometimes agree with us, sometimes don't. And this isn't to say that
I don't agree with us half the time. So
yeah, well, I don't either. But if you just play Madden or you just play Call of Duty or that's not to say that you're a lesser of a gamer. And but I guarantee you, those same people would have a valid argument of is like, I don't agree with it with Nintendo. I don't like.
It's
Nintendo.
Your perception as a gamer. Like, what are you as a gamer? Like, your perception's different than mine because your particular I want to say wants and needs, but extortions. Your particular extortions are different than mine. You know?
Yeah, it's a damn shame because I would probably have like another $3,000 in my pocket if I didn't want the Xbox One S, a few UHD Blu-rays, and a Blu-ray TV or a 4K TV with HDR support.
I'm telling you, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like I just bought a Pinbot, and I spent a pile of cash on that, and now I'm looking at a Bride of Pinbot as we were talking earlier, and that's an extra like at least $2,000 at least. I'm like, yeah, I would probably have a lot more money if
Williams wouldn't have made that 30 years ago.
God,
assholes. So here's the thing, and here's the one thing I want to be clear about. I don't want we're being facetious about the extortion thing, obviously.
It's funny. We're jokers too.
With the fact that this IGN jackass, Sean Finnegan.
All right. Well, you just pretty much spelled it. Never mind. Go ahead.
No, I just got to say it. This jackass responded to me and said, what if I want all the gear? I can't grind it out. The game was $60.
That's extortion.
God, you're not being extorted, you jackass. I'm sorry. It just makes me so angry. God, oh my God.
It's awesome. I'm glad.
You're not being extorted, you jackass.
Just because you wanted it,
you want it all? Oh my God.
You were just emotionally extorted by this
You know
guy.
what, Mitch? Mm-hmm. I bought Madden. I love Madden. You know what? I love Madden still. It's fucking great. I can't believe they're extorting me to buy Madden packs.
And now I can't believe
the
Ultimate
Team.
Yeah, the guy from IGN is emotionally extorting you as well. You're being like extorted on every level, man.
Everybody's extorting me, Mitch. What the fuck am I going to do with I've been extorted so many times. God, I continue to be extorted by all these people.
I feel bad for you. Like, look, let's like I said earlier, let's set up like a some kind of mercy fund or something for Mike because he's been extorted so badly.
We could have a GoFundMe.
I'm kidding. Don't do a GoFundMe, but I'm obviously being facetious as far as that goes. Like I said, I know Haiti is devastated all the time by every natural disaster and stuff like that, but Mike is extorted on every level, emotionally, financially.
I'm going to start a GoFundMe. As a person that's put 500 hours into Destiny, unwillingly. Actually, I'm not even going to make the joke.
You should put you should have like a commercial for it.
God, what a jackass. I don't even have another word for it. Like, I keep trying to come up with like
extorted.
Yeah, I'm just extorted.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so where are we at? Where do we want to go? Do you want to do the music chat thing? Maybe lighten it up or what? How much time you got, Mitch?
I kind of do, but my time has been extorted here recently.
You want to, but yeah, man, damn. There's extortion, man. It's snakes in the weeds, dog. Snakes in the grass. Extortion is everywhere. Everybody just extorting time. Extorting money.
Is that going to be the name of the podcast?
Fuck. I was just going to call the podcast Nintendo, but after last week, actually, I got to tell you. I do need to say this, by the way. I got to tell you.
Go for it.
So PlayStation View $35 a month. I get all the sports.
That's pretty awesome. Actually, you can get PlayStation View and not even have a PlayStation.
You can with Android, which is extra fucking awesome. So here's the thing that I
thought about it.
And this is no promotion. So this is the other thing.
We're not trying to extort you. Don't get us.
I do not want to promote anything in the risk that people feel extorted by listening to this podcast.
I love that word.
It's just I've never. You know what? This is never gonna get old.
We're just so far off base on like what the meaning of it is. I love it.
I know, it's so great. Fucking Sean Finnegan, yeah, douchebag. So anyway,
extortionist.
Yeah, what an extortionist he is.
Anyway, go ahead.
But okay, so anyway, PlayStation View. Get all my sports. I already told you about the PlayStation, which they required me to do. They extorted me. But here's the thing about it. Fuck, I have no idea even where I was going with this.
Thoughts were extorted.
I love my. No, they weren't extorted. So anyway, PlayStation. Oh, now I remember where I was going after I stopped being possessed by the extortionists. So I got PlayStation View for $35 a month, and there's a couple of different options. But anyway, there's a $45 a month option that I wanted, and I was able to fend off the extortionists that were at my front door. But they were on MTV Classic. There's an MTV Classic, and they replayed the Halloween episode of Beavis and Butthead for 24 hours.
Nice.
But I didn't know. So Carrie and I pull up our $35 PlayStation View subscription, which we were required to buy. And, even though we wanted the other one in which we fought off the extortionists and should have probably just let them have their way with us.
Like physically extort you?
Well, however you want to put it. But anyway, so I pull up the PlayStation View thing, and there's MTV. And there's MTV, and there's MTV2. And I was like, hey, Carrie, they're going to be replaying Beavis and Butthead for 24 hours, but they're just replaying the
Halloween episode.
Halloween episode. She goes, cool. I was like, so is MTV Classic? And she's like, well, there's an MTV2, so I'd assume MTV is the classic one. And I was like, I'm not sure. And then she looks at me and she goes, you know what? The other PlayStation View package actually did have MTV Classic. And I was like, those motherfuckers did not extort me good enough.
They did, exactly.
So I didn't get to watch any of it.
Bummer. Well, you could probably pull it up on YouTube if that.
Probably. I just, the one time in my life that I actually wanted to be extorted.
Right.
Coerced. He actually even said they were coercing people. He said some more ridiculous shit, but I thought the extortion piece was pretty fun.
Clearly, we didn't blow that out of proportion at all. But it's like when you say one of those, like say a word over and over and over again, and it completely loses any like semblance of meaning. Like any it just is sounds. You get to that point where it's just like pure sound. It's like blah, blah, blah. You might as well be, you know?
Yeah.
That's where we're going here.
There was a lot of good content in this episode if you can get past the fact that we're constantly...
Like, if you have gotten to this point in the podcast, like, go back. I don't care if you're going to work or whatever. Like, have like a drinking game or something like that. Every time we say extortion or some kind of variation of the word extortion, like take a drink.
Yeah, take a shot. Take a drink.
And then if you're still alive by the end of the podcast, like send us an email or give us call our voicemail.
Hey, Mitch.
Yeah.
I mean, this probably goes without saying, but before we started the podcast, I actually already had that drinking game in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I have been taking a shot every time we've brought it up.
I can tell when you start to slur your words. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I am slurring a little bit because I had the longest week ever, and I have had a few adult beverage. See, I can't even say beverage.
I love it. See, if you are listening to this podcast at this point, go back and listen to it again and do it right.
You know what? So this is one of those nights where we just continue to talk, and I just want to say, I love podcasts like this.
We love to goof off.
I'm in the basement, and Carrie continues to text me every time I get loud. Here's what she texts. What the fuck, Mike? We can hear you upstairs. And then in my head, I'm like, I'm being extorted.
You are emotionally.
I'm being extorted. I can't control the volume of my voice.
No, because it's been extorted. The volume of your voice.
This is the best podcast on the internet. Hey, hey, this is the end of the podcast. So if you're interested at contacting us, twitter.com, facebook.com, youtube.com/RetroGameFix or 678-995-5103 or questions at RetroGameFix. And if you want to email us, you are required to email us because we are the extortionists.
We're extorting you to do so.
We are extorting. God damn it.
So.
Close the podcast out so I can say see ya.
All right. So for RetroGameFix.com and the that Jones podcast. God dang, what's wrong with me today? Retro Jones podcast number 94. This is Mitch.
And this is Mike.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.